Let's spend a few minutes on tax benefit as it relates to mobile home parks. Before we begin, quick disclaimer, this is not tax advice. This is simply education to demonstrate why investors love mobile home parks for their tax benefits. In general, when you purchase a property, the value is divided into three buckets. Land on the left-hand side cannot be depreciated, and for this illustration purposes, we'll assume most properties' land value is about 30%. In the middle, you have the buildings. So this would be like an apartment building or an office building. Buildings, depending on whether they're residential or commercial, are depreciated over 27 and a half or 39 years on a straight line schedule. So you just get a small piece of the depreciation each year. 60% of the property's value is typically the building for most real estate, but for mobile home parks, it's only 10%. And if you visualize a mobile home park, most of the property is not the building. Most of the property is roads and infrastructure and lots and fences and pads and pedestals and landscaping and all of those kind of things. On the right-hand side, you have land improvements. Land improvements are depreciated on a 15-year schedule, and for most property, that represents 10% of the value of the property, whereas for mobile home parks, it represents 60% of the property's value. And you'll see why this is important as we move on here. Now let's walk through a $10 million example. So on the left-hand side, you see the land. You cannot depreciate that. 30% of the property's value means $3 million of your purchase you cannot depreciate. In the middle, you have your buildings. And for most real estate, this is $6 million worth, which you could depreciate over many, many years. But for mobile home parks, it's only $1 million. So this would be like the clubhouse or the laundry facility. And on the right-hand side, you have the land improvements. And this is where the power comes in. So because the tax law allows you to take bonus depreciation on the portion of the property's value that has a useful life of 20 years or less, which land improvements fall into that, you can expense the value of the land improvements in the calendar year that the property was purchased. So for most real estate, this means you could expense $1 million, but for mobile home parks, in this example, you could expense $6 million and take that as a passive loss in the calendar year that the property was purchased. So now let's look at a comparison. So if you invested in the property on the left, which is most real estate, a $10 million purchase would have given you $6 million of straight line depreciation that you can take over many years, and you would have received $1 million of bonus depreciation in the calendar year the property was purchased. So if you put $3.5 million down, that bonus depreciation would equal 28% coverage for each dollar you invested. Now, because part of that tax law is sunsetting, in 2025, that would only be 11 cents on every dollar. So for each dollar you invested, you would get 11 cents in passive losses on your K1. Now, the tax law might change, but if nothing, assuming nothing changes, that's what it would equate to. Now let's look at the example on the right, which is a mobile home park. Same $10 million purchase price would give you $1 million of straight line depreciation that you could take over many years, and $6 million of bonus depreciation that you could take in the calendar year that the property is purchased. So the same $3.5 million down payment would give you 170% coverage for each dollar invested. Now, again, because the nuance in that tax law in the calendar year 2025, it would only be 68% coverage. But either way, the demonstration here is that for each dollar you invested in 2025 in a mobile home park, you'd get 68 cents in passive losses on your K1. And you can use those passive losses against the income from this particular investment or any other investment that's where the passive income would qualify as like kind. So just a quick, simple illustration that shows why investors love mobile home parks for their tax benefits. Next steps is to go to our website at 5210.com. When you get there, go to the contact page and you'll see a form that looks like this. Fill out that form and you'll get a response from me. That'll give you an opportunity to schedule a phone call directly on my calendar where we can answer all of your questions. We can talk more about the tax. I can share what's coming in the pipeline and we can evaluate timing. And then the last thing I'll share here is that you can save your spot in line. So one of the things that you'll find unique about 5210 is our offerings go pretty quick to our private network of investors. So we give first right of refusal to those who raise their hand and reserve a spot in line before we go out to the general public. So thank you for spending time with me today around mobile home parks. Go ahead and schedule a phone call with me, and I look forward to speaking with you soon.